Welcome to our trip at Universal Epic Universe. On this trip, I went with my fellow podcast crew. I went with WTF Anime Inc., also known as Steve, and the loud and lovable Critical Skeptic. And there was also Raheem, who works at Universal and was my player 2 at Nintendo World. He knew all the tricks and tips at the games, so that was awesome. But anyway, let's get to it. I will basically explain the day ahead in order the best I can. Also, you should check out our podcast on YouTube. It's WTFodcast. So yeah. We all decided to meet up at one of the Universal resorts, Terra Luna, which was beautiful. And we sat out in the front of the parking lot for a bit because we were waiting for Raheem because he works at Universal, so we'd get a big discount. And during that time, I went to the gift shop in the hotel and I got this cute Yoshi headband. But unfortunately, the headband was too heavy because of the Yoshi and it kept on falling down. So I replaced it and got a Luigi cap. But other than that, when we went up, I loved our room. It was gorgeous. And I really loved the view from our room because we got to see the gigantic pool, which was just amazing. And there wasn't a lot of people there. So that was whoa, free pool to ourselves. But unfortunate, we were so busy with Universal itself that we never got to swim in the pool. So that was kind of a bummer. But hey, Universal was awesome. So that made up for it completely. I was just super excited for Nintendo World. So I was just let's go! Yeah! So we entered the park, we got our tickets, stood in line. The lines weren't too long getting into Universal. There wasn't a lot of people, which was awesome. There was some people, but it wasn't too bad. And I took a lot of video of the scenery and just the stuff in the park. I don't know, I just thought everything was just gorgeous. So yeah, a bunch of clips of just random things around the park. Yeah. So our biggest hangout spot was the Atlantic, also known as Critical Skeptic's home, because he practically lived there most of the time. So this bar was just gorgeous. It had this bar in the center, and then at the bottom there was dining tables where people were eating food and stuff. But they also had these sea animals that kind of floated on the ceiling and moved. So this was our hangout spot where we would get drinks and then go into the park and adventure and stuff. So I definitely got myself I think a double shot of Grey Goose and some limes that I squeezed the hell out of. And this was our hangout spot. This is where we got our drinks and then we'd go on the rides and stuff. Critical Skeptic mostly hung out here. He wasn't a big fan of Nintendo World or How to Train Your Dragon, but he did like the Dark Universe stuff. So during those times we were at Nintendo World or How to Train Your Dragon, he was usually at the bar, so. Or smoking in his favorite spot. First stop, the best stop, Nintendo World. I was super, super excited. So we were going, into the green pipe, and I was holding Steve's hand and Steve was holding Raheem's hand because Raheem was close your eyes, it's gonna be a surprise. So I was trying to film while trying to close my eyes, walking into the park, and oh my gosh, the park was just breathtaking. I don't really get too emotional, but it definitely grabbed my heart. My inner child was screaming. I couldn't breathe for a few seconds because I was just really absorbing the whole scene in. And I was just super happy. And I learned that the park is also like a giant mini game. So Steve got me like this Yoshi armband so I can play the mini games in the park. So when you play these mini games, you want to earn 3 keys. And when you get 3 keys, you can go into Koopa Kid's castle and fight him. So that's what Raheem and me did. He got his armband. He was also Team Yoshi. And we started going around the park and started messing around with things and started playing games. The first game we did was the green shell that you had to hit at the right time to get through the pipe, to go up to hit the block, so then you can earn your first key. Raheem taught me, like, okay, you need to hit it, like, right when the shell's about to enter the tube itself, so you want to hit right before it goes in. So, yeah, he knew all the tips and tricks. Like, he works there. He works the Yoshi ride, so I really wanted to ride the Yoshi ride, but he was like, no, I am not riding that ride. I mean, I don't blame him. I mean, he works for that ride. I bet he's freaking sick of the Yoshi. So, yeah, I did that Yoshi sound in front of him, and I got the death stare, so I was like, I get ya. Don't do that again. There was also another mini game where you hit the question mark block and you get your power up, and it could be like a fire flower or a star. I got the fire flower, and when Raheem did his, he got the star. And you're basically touching on like the wall or screen, and you're just trying to kill all the enemies so you can receive your key at the end, which was actually not like hard at all. It was pretty easy. I mean, Raheem, he just sat there and he just started, he didn't move around the whole board like I did. I looked like a chicken with its head cut off. But he was just like, you just tap here, and he's like, getting all the baddies real easily. Made me look like a joke, but he looked like a professional, man. So that was pretty cool. So we earned our second key through that one. So another mini game that we did together was like all of these tiles, question mark blocks were all, yellow, and then there was blue ones, and we had to hit all the yellow ones to become blue. So me and Raheem teamed up and we did the wall together. We did it really fast, so I was proud of us, man. Another key we got was from this Bob-omb mini game. It's like you had to hit the walls to stop the explosion or something. I know you had to hit the walls and then you had to wait, because Raheem was telling me that people usually will hit the walls and they'll start doing the puzzle, but it always explodes. So we stepped back and we waited, and then we did the walls again, and then we had to solve the puzzle in the middle. So once we solved that puzzle in the middle, we got our key. But yeah, he knew all the tricks, man. So we flew through these mini games easily. And then there was like this other mini game where we both did it together. It's like we had to keep hitting these timers so the piranha plant wouldn't wake up. We don't have footage of that, but that one was intense. Like, we were just running back and forth trying to click the clocks, and it's like, that one was crazy, and I was really surprised we got that one. That you definitely need a player 2 for, because that almost seems impossible to do by yourself. Like, it almost seemed like all of the clocks were going off at once. So I don't know how one person can manage that. But, we went around the park. We could hit like these cool music blocks and it would play tunes. The scenery was awesome. We never went to Toadstool Cafe, unfortunately. I know people were like, didn't you go get the cafe and the food? No, we didn't. I didn't want to do it because I wasn't too hungry right then, and plus I just heard that it was just like the reviews were like, it's just meh food. It's decorated and looks cute, but it's just meh food. Like, here's some spaghetti and meatballs that you could probably heat up in the microwave. Yeah, I wasn't looking to have that. Steve was waiting in line for the Mario Kart. It was like this virtual Mario Kart ride. You get like this headset that you wear, and you're on a ride that moves, and you can virtually see the characters kind of like in your vision while you're driving and shooting on the roller coaster, and you get points when you're like shooting the bad guys while you're driving. I got a lot of like footage of just like the scenery, just the stuff inside the castle. It was really, really cool. I loved it. I loved how they brought the world of Mario alive. I just loved staring at everything. It was a lot. It was like, oh God, it was a lot in a good way for me, you know. The virtual ride was awesome. We were on this big Mario Kart team where we're all together and we're versing the Bowser team. And we unfortunately lost. It was a little tricky trying to learn that you had to like turn your head and then shoot where you're aiming with your own head. And then the ride is spinning and then it's telling you when to turn. And it was a lot going on, but it was really cool. I enjoyed it. Just look at all this stuff, man. I got all these clips, man. Just stare at this crap. Look at it. Look how beautiful this stuff is. Ooh, ah, wow, look at that. Oh, glorious. Hand clapping. Wow, I love it. Wow. I think I have more clips. Just keep looking. I'm making this audio and there's clips, you know? I think there's clips now. Yeah, look at that stuff. Wow. Also, quick thing, I didn't know there was Donkey Kong Country. And we did that at night. I didn't realize it was like behind the Mario stuff until later. I was like, wait, Donkey Kong Country? What? Well, let's go. So yeah, I got clips of that for later. So that'll be later in the video because that was like the last thing we did. I believe the next thing we did was we stopped at Harry Potter World after Nintendo World. Could be wrong. Could have been Dark Universe, but I think it was Harry Potter. And Harry Potter was all right. You know, I'm not a huge Harry Potter fan. I know my sister is. I know she loves Harry Potter. I think Harry Potter's fine. I think if I delved into the books and really engaged with the movies, maybe I would have really enjoyed this. But, you know, Harry Potter is its own thing. I think it's cool. We went on this cool, like, train ride where like the visuals on the rides were pretty freaking cool. I really like that about Harry Potter World, but on that train ride it was almost like watching this whole big CG movie and things were moving on the little train or whatever. It was kind of like a ride, and just the visual effects of it was awesome. The scenery at Harry Potter was awesome. I got like another drink. Steve got me a drink. Awesome. It was a very nice drink. It was like a Coca-Cola mixed with some kind of alcohol. I don't know. It was actually really nice. I don't know what the drink was. It was great. Anyway, look at all this scenery, man. Isn't it beautiful? Yeah, you want to go to Harry Potter World. Yeah, look at this stuff. Wow. But if you're my sister listening in, you know, yeah, you should definitely check out the Harry Potter World. If you ever do Universal Epic Universe, I think you'd really love it there. They had some really cool, like, cloaks, like, it looked like legit Harry Potter, like, wear, you know, the cloaks and stuff. I don't know how much those were. They were probably very expensive, but those looked really legit. So the next stop was Dark Universe, which was really cool. The scenery was gorgeous. It just had this nice spooky vibe. It was awesome. I can't really explain it much, but these clips, I mean, look at this stuff, man. Wouldn't you want to be there? And then on one of the rides, I think it was like the Frankenstein ride, we met up with, it was Steve, because Steve also worked at Universal and Disney for a long time, and he actually met up with one of his friends who works there, and she was awesome. She gave us like this whole kind of like tour of the whole ride, so we got to look at all this cool stuff. So I got a lot of these clips. I think there was like a clip where there was like a bat skeletons and these jars and this cool coffin. I got to sit in this like nice black couch thing. I don't know. I thought it was really cute. But it was gorgeous. Just all the little details, like in the line for waiting to go on the ride, was amazing. The animatronics were really, really cool. Dark Universe is definitely a world of its own. Very, very, very recommended. Very highly recommended. You should definitely check that out. There was also this chick who, she was playing this violin, and she definitely stayed in her own character. Like, she was cool. She, because I saw her, she was like coming out of somewhere, and then I made contact with her, so she like came up to me and she's like, come, and I was like, oh, okay. So I followed her, and then she had like this whole like spiel about like, I think it was Dracula, and she was talking about him and playing the violin, and it was just really cool to watch her and perform, and I thanked her later just because that was really cool. Yeah, Dark Universe, definitely check it out. I mean, heck, they had a freaking windmill on fire. That was pretty sick, dude. How to Train Your Dragon was next, and it was gorgeous. I loved just the whole entire environment. It definitely felt like you were in the movie. It was just gorgeous. I love all the dragons. I love the details in the landscapes, and oh, it was so cool. My favorite part from How to Train Your Dragon was the, I think it was the How to Train Your Dragon, like, ride? I don't know. They had this coaster. It was freaking awesome. I lost my voice due to this ride because I screamed so much. But it was so smooth. It was fast. It would shoot you off. Like, it shot you off, like, twice. Once in, like, the beginning, and then, like, once, like, in the middle of the ride, and it shoot you right off, and you're just up and flying. You felt like you were flying like one of the dragons. Like, that ride was amazing. Loved it. I loved How to Train Your Dragon. I know I don't have so much to share about the other like parks like Harry Potter and Dark Universe and How to Train Your Dragon, because I really was focusing more on Nintendo World because I love Nintendo. But this park was awesome. I recommend this, especially the ride. The ride was so sick. Holy crap, I love that ride. We got to go twice because Steve knew someone there as well, and they worked there, and they're like, hey, you want to ride again? We're like, heck yeah. So we did that thing twice, and it was definitely worth it. So for dinner, we went to the Blue Dragon. It was this Asian restaurant, and it was really, really good. The decorations, everything inside the restaurant was so pretty. I loved it. We got some drinks, and then the food we got was really, really good. Steve got like this orange chicken dish. It was very good. I tried a piece of it. The orange chicken was lit. Raheem got the beef and broccoli, which looked really pretty. And I got, it was like this ramen dish. I forgot what it was called. It was really good ramen. I had to like, apparently you have to like get the noodle, like take a bite of the meat, get some noodles, and then you had to slurp the broth. You had like this specific order how to do it, but it was really good. It was very flavorful. I love the food. Yeah, so that's something we got to eat while we were there. So very, very good restaurant there. So the Blue Dragon, if you're at Universal, definitely go for that. So the last thing we did was Donkey Kong Country. The park was getting pretty late. The park was getting ready to close, but we jumped in line before it closed. So yeah, that line was the longest line in the whole ride. We waited for like an hour and a half, almost 2 hours. Yeah, it was a long line. The ride was really cool. It was scary because it was like when you're riding, it looks like your track is broken, but you're not. You're fine. You're going on this track now. And it's just like the minecart game in Donkey Kong Country when you're like jumping tracks. So you're like in this minecart, and it was, yeah, jumping tracks in a way. Not literally jumping, but it made you feel like you were jumping tracks. The ride was really cool. The whole environment of the Donkey Kong Country world was just breathtaking. I love anything Nintendo, so I loved it. It was awesome. That was like the last thing we did, and then we finally head back to the hotel, and it was like around midnight at that time. But all in all, it was a great trip. After Universal, I think it was like 2 days later, we had like a barbecue at Critical Skeptic's house, and then me and my podcast crew, we recorded a podcast at his house. We did a live one. So yeah, again, you should definitely check out What the Podcast on YouTube. Yeah. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I highly recommend Nintendo World from Universal Epic Universe. But everything was awesome. I highly recommend it. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, and maybe if I do more travels in the future, maybe I can make another video of whatever I do next. And I just really hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you would want some more content like this in the future. So yeah, I hope you guys have a great day. I love you, and bye. Please subscribe.